The Boston Celtics lose their preseason finale, but Al Horford made his debut and Jayson Tatum looked dominant for a while. Let's talk about it right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Thanks to Blockbuster brand, it's holiday season, drop Drew in the mix. And 3 from KP, no we not on the Knicks. Flushing competition like Al on Giannis. Juice and Big Deuce, still B-Town's finest. Banner 18 going up in the Raptors. Watch the C's game in locked on after. Karalis on the breakdown, clutch like a tip from D. White on the breakdown. John on the mic, documenting domination. Matter pen a back bay, it's all C's nation. Rain and J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finish. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. Peace.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. I got you covered every Monday through Friday, plus bonus podcasts when they play on the weekends. So make sure you are subscribed. You're going to get the most free podcasting. I'm never going to ask you to pay a single cent to listen to this podcast. So subscribe, watch the show on YouTube, get into the comment section. You can hop in there with a bunch of like-minded Celtics fans and have a very enjoyable time. I'm your host, John Karalis. I've been covering the Celtics team for about 20 years now. I'm doing it as a beat writer for Boston Sports Journal. I've also written a couple of books. The latest one's called Built Different. It is celebrating Banner 18. Buy that at johnkaralis.com. $30 gets a signed, personalized copy delivered to your door. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Later on, we'll get to the end of the bench stuff, the stuff that we've been talking about. Interesting kind of preseason finale here. I think it answers a lot of questions. To be honest with you, I think a lot of these things that we were talking about, we've gotten a lot more clarity because this was treated the most like a regular season game. So we'll get to that stuff. We'll get to the Tatum, how dominant he looked for at least the first half of this game. But let's start with Al Horford's debut. I guess I should mention that the Celtics lost 119-118. I'll get to the end of the game and all that stuff. JD Davison, Jordan Walsh, it's all part of the answers that we got. But let's just start with Al Horford, 23 minutes. Not a notable debut. I don't care that it wasn't notable. He played. He, walked onto the floor, walked off the floor. That's the most important thing. He looked rusty. He was 1 of 6. He was 0 of 4 from 3. Not a surprise. Tough to, have all this time away and just come in against competition, especially like the Raptors who play fast, and you get sped up a little bit trying to guard them, and it's tough to find your rhythm. So I'm not really concerned or anything like that. Al Horford played. He played, like I said, 23 minutes, did a couple of nice things, missed a few shots, end of story. He felt good afterwards. I don't know what else there is to say other than he started. And I feel like, now again, this is not like the be all end all, but if he wasn't going to start, then maybe they wouldn't have started him in this game. You just roll. If this is going to be the most regular season game, this should be also noted. No Drew Holiday. He didn't even travel. Sam Hauser didn't play, so he sat this one out. So it wasn't a complete regular season game. But, Tatum played 33, almost 34 minutes. Jaylen Brown played a normal, preseason 25. Derek White played 31 minutes. That's kind of close to his regular season output. You got a little bit of regular season type of feel for that. But Al Horford started, and I guess that should basically answer the question that we were kind of bringing up. And yes, I advocated for Luke Kornet to start. I do think that it would be good for Luke Kornet to start. Because of all the things that I've said in a prior podcast. The short version is he does all the little things well. He plays well with these guys. You don't need to have Al Horford out there with Tatum and Brown and White and Holiday for them to play well. You don't need to have him out there, Al Horford out there to have them succeed. But he's obviously, as we've said in that podcast, the better player. But to manage his minutes and all of that stuff, I felt like bringing him off the bench, a consistent role all season long, to me, it made sense, right? But if Joe Mazzulla wants to start Al Horford, I certainly, as I said in that podcast, it's not like it's a, okay, I did joke that I might be angry if it happened, but no one should ever actually be angry that Al Horford is starting. No one should ever even like question that. Al Horford, looking like Al Horford is going to be the starter on opening night, that's totally fine. But if Luke Cornett was the starter on opening night, that would also be totally fine. I guess we'll wait and see, but it also just looks like that's how it's going to go. Al Horford will be the starter, which, okay, so move on from that. Joe did experiment with some double big lineups. Horford with Tillman, Cornett with Tillman, Cornett and Horford together. Just different mixes of double big lineups. Um, I have to go back and look. Wasn't exactly thrilled with how they looked. I don't necessarily like Xavier Tillman at the 4. I think they probably would like to see that work, but you're asking Tillman to do a lot on the perimeter as the 4. You're asking him to do some on the perimeter in general as the 5 if he's in there with whichever other 4 guys, but you're asking him to do more as the 4, especially, as your chances are if Tillman's out there as your 4, then you're with a drop. Your only other options are a drop center. So it's not my favorite thing. They could use some more time with it, which makes me think that Al Horford should have played at least one other game so you can get a little bit more data with it. They got some from last year, but I want to see it this year because Tillman's a little bit different this year, especially with the knee surgery. So I would have liked to have seen, why Al Horford didn't play in the preseason opener. You could have had him play that one and then this one, whatever. Or you could have had him play one of them in Abu Dhabi and then this one, or the home opener and then this one. Because that would have been 2 days off. I don't see any reason why a little stretch there and a little stretch here wouldn't have worked. But whatever, it's done. It's over. Doesn't matter. I don't know how the double big thing is going to go, but it's something that they're looking at, and they would like to, I think, go to that sometimes when it's not Porzingis and Horford. They've gone to Porzingis and Horford, and that works, but they're trying to find some. Hey, we need defense. We need a defensive stop. We need some size. We want to go double big. Can we find a combination that works there? I'm not sure if Cornett is the guy to go double big with. That was not a lineup that worked very much in limited minutes last year. So maybe the regular season will give us some extended preseason-ish looks at those lineups. Something to watch for. But it's looking like Horford is the starter. Tillman did not shoot well, 0 of 3 from 3, 0 of 3 overall. Not that he didn't play well. He had 8 rebounds. He had a couple of assists. He had a steal, a block. It was a nice block too. So he did do things, but his shot did not travel north. I'm not going to overreact to that, just like I wasn't going to overreact to him shooting well at the beginning of preseason here. But, an 0 for 3 night, I would have rather have seen a 1 for 4 night. At least one, at least the shot goes down just to keep it going. Okay, so he missed 3. Let's see how he does against the Knicks if he plays. Cornett, solid. Cornett, totally solid. Fine. 5 for 5. He had 5 rebounds, 10 points, an assist. That plus 24 in 21 minutes. So Cornett, solid. I don't know what else there is to say about Cornett. He's a solid player. He's going to do what he does every game. He's going to set good picks. He's going to make decent passes. I don't think he's going to hurt you much. He's going to help more often than he hurts. And wherever they decide to use him, I think he's going to be a plus. He's very underrated. So as far as the bigs go, they were all solid. I didn't like them all together. Kata got 10 minutes. He was fine too. Let's get to Jayson Tatum, because Jayson Tatum was just incredible. That first half, MVP level Jayson Tatum. Let's talk about that when I come back. Today's show brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book, and you can start the season big on FanDuel, because all you got to do is place your first $5 bet, and you're going to get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. So you place your $5 bet, no matter what happens to it, you get $200 in bonus bets to play with. So that's fun. You can go out there and have some fun with some extra bonus bets over there at FanDuel. And if you get a hunch in the middle of the game, this is, they have that cool feature where the stats and stuff, it's all there on the same page where you can place that bet. So it does make it easy for you to say, hey, I've seen this. Let me just double check my stats. Yep, I'm going to make this bet. So go check it out, FanDuel.com, to sign up and place your first $5 bet. Make sure you're using the tools so you can set your limits, set your budget. Go ahead and set your budget. Have some fun with it. When your budget runs out, you're done for the day or for the week or for whatever your budget is. Just pick it up next time. That's all right. It'll be there next time for you, because FanDuel is always there for you. So have some fun with it. Set your limits. Gamble responsibly and have fun at FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. I'll talk a little Celtics on Locked On NBA after I'm done recording this show and posting it. I'm going to head on over to the Locked On NBA side and record with Jake Madison. Have a lot of fun there talking about the rest of the league. And so go check that out. We're talking during the regular season. It's going to be games. And we'll be talking about the games every night on Locked On NBA. So make sure you make that your second listen after Locked On Celtics is your first listen. Jayson Tatum in that first half. Wow. Okay. Overall, Jayson played just about 34 minutes. The percentages, by the end were, okay. He finished 43% overall, 38.5% from 3, 5 of 13. That's okay. 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, a plus 13, 24 points on the night. But that first half is where he really was incredible. 6 of 12 in that first half, 3 of 6 from 3, 4 rebounds, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, a couple of steals. He was 15, 5 rebounds, 4 assists there in the first half. Tatum hitting tough pull-up shots and making some incredible passes. And then obviously there's the dunk on Bruno Fernando, which is a poster highlight. Like, that thing is, I know it's a preseason game, but clip that, save that. That's going to go on his career highlight reel, because that was a straight up body to body poster on Bruno Fernando. That level of Tatum, look, that's MVP stuff. Now it's only 18 minutes in the first half. So I get it. I'm not saying anything beyond the way he played in that first half is the MVP, what Tatum as an MVP would look like. Hitting those tough shots, stepping into those threes and hitting those pull-up threes at a really good clip. He's not going to shoot 50% for longer than a few games at the most, right? So I don't expect him to do that, but hitting those types of shots more often than he hit last year, while still creating 4 assists in that 18 minutes, still creating for his teammates, getting a couple of steals, playing that defense. That type of stuff is what makes Tatum an MVP if he ever wins one. So it was a completely dominant. Now, the Celtics came out slow. That first quarter was just awful. The Raptors won that first quarter 46-27. They could not miss in the first quarter. They shot 10 of 14. They were 10 of 14 from 3, while the Celtics were 2 of 12. They were 16 of 25 overall, while the Celtics were 9 of 23. They just hit everything. Grady Dick was literally perfect in the first quarter. 6 for 6, 3 from 3 from 3, 15 points. And he carried that through the entire game. He was just kind of unstoppable throughout this game, leading to a bunch of like, you got to have a level of maturity calling a game that he's playing in. You got to be careful with your phrasing. And, a couple of times where the phrasing was accurate, but also, you gotta watch it when you're calling a Toronto game. So Grady Dick was really good, and they, but in the second quarter, where the Celtics came out in the first quarter, kind of lax, not great defensively. Then the Raptors got hot. Then the second quarter was like just dominance time. That's where Tatum really took off. Peyton Pritchard got hot. Everybody started shooting well. The Celtics were 8 of 15 from three. Toronto was 0 of 8 from three. It's funny. I gotta give Brian Scalabrine a shout out here, because after the first quarter, he said, I know that the Raptors hit 10, but it feels like this is going to be like they're only going to hit 7 the rest of the way. They finished 15 of 43. So 10 of 14 after one. And that's what, 5 of 29 after that. That's Scal. Scal sees it. He gets it. He's on it, man. But Tatum in the second quarter was just ungodly. Jaylen Brown also ungodly. Jaylen is a beast. Jaylen's a complete beast. Ready for an amazing year from Jaylen Brown. The Celtics did a lot of things where they were working the ball to get him in the post. They had a great out of bounds play. It turned into a clear out, and Jaylen just got great position down low. That was, he got the ball, great pass from Derek White, went right up with it, seal like 2 feet in the paint, goes up, gets the foul. That type of stuff, I think, is more in play this year with Jaylen being as big and strong as he is. And his arms are noticeably bigger. And that matters because he is going to hold on to the ball, I think, more of. I think some of that arm strength is so he can go up through contact and power through the contact and get those types of and ones. I'd like to see Jaylen in the post more, or at least in a pseudo type of post up where he's just sealing a smaller guy off to get it in the paint, and then he's making a quick move. It does count as a post up. For me, a post up is like a little more old school. I'm thinking Kevin McHale. I'm thinking Hakeem Olajuwon. I'm thinking those types of guys. Those types of post ups are dead. They're not happening. Post ups nowadays are mismatches that you just bury a shoulder into a guy's chest and you bury him under a basket and you go up with it and either score or draw a foul or spin into a fadeaway. Jaylen's very good at those fadeaway jumpers. Jaylen is super strong. He's always been super strong, but this year he's added to that. So I'm looking for a whole lot more of him in the post. I know against the 76ers where they played in that game, he was warming up with a lot of post stuff and hook shots and stuff like that. I'm looking to see what he unleashes in those post ups, because he's going to have opportunities to punish mismatches down there. And the Celtics are going to run some actions against switches to get him into those positions and get Jayson into those positions. Both of those guys are going to be working on post moves. I've said this before about Jayson. I'll include Jaylen Brown in this. Fourth quarter shots, you got to make tough shots. The defense clamps down. The game slows down in the fourth quarter. It all happens naturally. It's not just Boston, although Boston last season really went overboard with it, but the game slows down naturally in the fourth quarter. You want to get to a spot where you're comfortable making a tough shot. And starting with the ball in the post is a great way to set up a guy, but also create the space to get that that shot, that tough fourth quarter shot, a fadeaway, an up and under, something where you're using your body to create the space. Seems counterintuitive, but when you've got somebody on your body, that's a great way to just kind of like give a little shoulder and then separate. While that person's momentum's going one way, your momentum's going the other. And instead of being like right on top of each other, you now have separations because now you're going the opposite directions, and those shots are unblockable. So Jaylen in the post, Jayson in the post. We saw a little bit in this one. That's something that I'm just going to keep an eye on. You should keep an eye on because that's going to happen, and the Celtics should go to that. That's going to be how they close out games. It's got to be how they close out games. On top of when you're in the post and drawing defenders and all of that, you can make passes out of that, and you can make cuts out of that. When a guy's in the post, you can cut from the top, or you can cut from the opposite back door and get a steal. There are other ways. There are ways to create opportunities. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Let's get to the actual like finish of the game. JD Davis and Jordan Walsh. I think there's a thing that Jordan Walsh could have done at the end to maybe get a good look instead of getting his shot blocked. And no Springer, no Walker. We'll look at that when we come back. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. It's the place to go when you want to get tickets, especially those last-minute tickets. Not maybe just it could be to a Celtics game. Maybe you want to try to see if you can sneak into that Knicks game. Not literally sneak in, but like get into that Knicks game. It's not going to be cheap, but you can find the best prices on Game Time. Maybe you want to go to a Bruins game. Hockey games are fun. Maybe you just want to go to a comedy show, a concert. Game Time is going to have all of those tickets, and Game Time Picks, their new feature, is going to curate all of that stuff so you get the best deals. So whatever it is, sports, comedy, theater, all of that stuff, Game Time Picks filters through the fluff. Toggle the all-in pricing. Turn that on. You'll see the final price that you're going to pay. No surprise fees. The seat views are right there in the app, so you know what you're looking at. And they have the lowest price guarantee, which means if you find those same tickets somewhere else for less, don't worry. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference to make sure you get the lowest price. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time and Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKED on NBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. So the Celtics the Celtics almost pulled this off. They sucked in the first quarter. They sucked in the third quarter. They were awesome in the second. And then in the fourth, it was just kind of like a little bit of back and forth. I feel like the Celtics were done with the preseason. I don't blame them. Third game in 4 nights. I know this was, Tatum didn't play 3 games in 4 nights, but still it's tiring. It's silly. No one wanted to play this game. I barely wanted to watch this game. You just got to like suck it up and watch, but suck it up and play. But it didn't look like they were into it. So I felt that. I felt that they were not into it. When they were into it, they played great. But it wasn't there for them in this one. Fine. I don't care necessarily. But in the last 5 minutes, when the Celtics went to their bench lineup, the Celtics actually took a lead. They came back. JD Davison in 5 minutes and 11 seconds scored 12 points, was a +7, 3 of 3, 2 of 2 from 3, including a huge one. I mean, huge to give them the lead. He did foul. I forget who he fouled, but he committed a foul. Sorry to say, it was a legitimate foul. They hit 2 free throws. Jordan Walsh gets a look, turns the corner, and gets blocked. Sorry to say that it was a blocked shot from what I saw. Maybe there was some contact down on the body, but not enough. I think that was probably marginal. I know you don't want to hear it. I know you want to sit there and say, he got hacked. He got screwed by the refs. That was a block shot. That was a play. If Tatum makes that defensive play on somebody and they call the foul on Tatum, you would lose your mind. So let's be honest here. Let's be real. And honestly, I think that Walsh, who was fine in this game, he had a nice drive before that. Walsh overall in that fourth quarter, not great, shooting wise, 1 of 4. He missed the 1-3 that he took, but he was okay. He had his moments, but whatever, that's fine. I think just as a side note, Walsh got plenty of opportunity. 24 minutes in this game. He got first quarter minutes. So that tells us a lot. And I'll get to the Springer and Walker and all of that stuff. Walsh on the on the shot that he gets blocked. If you watch that play, I can't show it to you on YouTube, but if you watch that play, he turns the corner, and as he's turning the corner, he's already gathering and he's taking a step. He knows he's got his defender kind of on his hip. He's going to lean on his athleticism and his reach. He's got long arms, but he didn't take into account the big coming over who blocks his shot. When you're playing off of 1 foot like that and you're committing to that, there's nowhere for you to go. You've gathered, you've taken your step, you're gliding. And the only thing you can do out of that is pass or try to move in the air and switch hands or do something crazy, which he's not really going to do. Playing off of 2 feet, which means you come to a jump stop. There's 2 options here. You play off the 2 feet, so you've got your defender on your hip. You lean into that defender, you jump stop, and you go either up lefty or you play through the guy and you force them to call a foul. You force them, because in that situation, in your mind, you got to remember, this is a last-second shot. That big is coming. He's gonna be coming at me. If I get to the rim and that big is coming, he is not going to be vertical. He is going to be, and he's a young guy. He just, you have to be aware. These are the types of things that you have to know in that spot. If I get this ball, if I get a drive, that guy is going to be coming at me. If I can stop and plant and jump into him, he's going to jump into me, and his arms are going to go down, and that's going to be 2 shots. And we're down 1. I can at least tie this up, maybe win this game. So you play off of 2 feet, lean into your defender, jump stop, and jump up through the guy or up around the guy and see if you can't lay it in over the front of the rim. That's option 1. Option number 2 is, like I said before, same concept of understand that your momentum is going a certain way. Understand that when you have the ball, you know what you are going to do. The defender does not, unless he can anticipate it, which very few defenders, especially in that situation, are going to do. So you understand he is coming with me. I got him. All I got to do now is, boom, step back, just a crossover. You're driving with that right hand, cross it back over to your left, step back, little fadeaway. That's an NBA player shot. That's a wide open shot. That's your shot right there. A little 8-footer with the guy going that way. You go this way, clear some space, take that shot, make or miss. That's it. But don't just put your head down and try to glide. That is the one thing you don't want to do. He trusts his athleticism. He trusts his length, but he didn't spot the big, and it cost them. Teachable moment, learning moment, understand in those situations, you got to have something to go to. And it's not just going to be athleticism over athleticism. You're not Anthony Edwards. And in that spot, the way you were turning the corner, that you're really teeing that ball up. You got to really lean, and you're really teeing that up for the defender. So that's Jordan Walsh. I think That's fine. I would rather he make that play, and I should be, like all of that was critical, not like in a bad way. I applaud him for getting to that spot. I applaud him for making that play. I applaud him for earlier making a drive and finishing in a really clutch spot. He's not afraid of the moment. He just didn't know what to do with the moment. And that's just a teachable thing. He's a young kid. He's going to figure it out. He's got the opportunity to figure that out. They did not play Jaden Springer. They did not play Lonnie Walker. So ultimately, this is where we're at. It's something we talked about in yesterday's podcast. You got Walsh, who is getting the opportunity. If this is the closest proximity the Celtics gave us to a regular season game, Jordan Walsh got first quarter minutes. Again, no Hauser, no Holiday. So that means Pritchard would have gotten first quarter minutes over Walsh. It means that who else would have gotten somebody else might have gotten the minutes over Walsh. Regardless, but in this spot, given the options on the bench, Mazzulla didn't turn to Springer. He did not turn to Walker. It's Walsh. Walsh has this position. He has this spot. It's his spot to lose. That's the bottom line here. Joe basically tipped his cards, and now it's a matter of what do you do? How does Brad Stevens handle the Springer, Walker? I'll call it a conundrum. It might not be a conundrum for them. They might just be like, yeah, Springer is our guy. Walker's on the Exhibit 10. Springer has the guaranteed contract. We don't want to trade him. We don't want to do that and just give him up for nothing. We have an opportunity to keep Lonnie Walker within the system. The Exhibit 10 allows for him to be assigned to the Red Claw, the Maine Celtics. I'm never going to stop calling him the Red Claws. The Maine Celtics, and he has a financial incentive to stay there. If another team comes along and signs him, then so be it. But the Celtics can go play out this season and they say, hey, look, if we end up keeping Springer, that's fine. If Lonnie Walker goes away, that's fine. It's not going to be the end of the world. There are other guys of Lonnie Walker's ilk that will be out there and available moving forward. So I know he's the guy that the Celtics have now, and they might want to, you and I might want some resolution now, but it just feels like it's Walsh, and then those two guys figure it out, and it's probably going to be Walker in the G League, Springer trying to figure it out in Boston, or also in the G League for all we know, and go from there. More thoughts on the preseason. It is over, but we'll continue the podcast tomorrow. This is the Wednesday show, so we got a Thursday show, a Friday show to go. The Celtics practice on Friday and Saturday, and then I'll be back for every game after that. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts. This is a 5-day-a-week free daily podcast. I'm never going to ask you for money. I only ask that you listen to the ads. If you want to spend any money, you can spend it on some of the products that we're offering here, but you don't have to pay any money to listen to this podcast. It's just you and me having fun all season long. So get onto that YouTube page, join the other Celtics fans in the comment section, have some fun there. And then I would love it if you shared the podcast and told everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.